This is the Uptick Network Stock Day Podcast, sponsored by InvestorsHangout.com. Penny stock news and interviews from the microcap world. Public information on OTC, pink sheets, and microcap stocks from around the world. With your host, Everett Jolly.
On today's show, I'm glad to have him back. He was on our show back in October of 2016, and this CEO has it happening. He's got it going on. If some of the other CEOs could take some plays out of his playbook, I think what a great OTC market, and that is Zachary Venegas. He is the CEO of Helix TCS. I'm proud to have him back on my show. Zach, welcome back.
Thank you for having me, and I'm glad to be back. Thank you very much.
You know, there's a lot of buzz in your industry. Obviously, the passing of legislation back in October, November, California coming online, Florida, Massachusetts. What is that going to do for your company?
Well, obviously, it's going to expand the market for everyone, but for us in particular, some of those markets are ones that we have focused on. Not to the exclusion of others, but we focused on more strongly than others based on what we thought the regulatory outlook was. So those particular markets moving ahead as they have, I expect to have a very strong impact on both our top and bottom line in the next 12 months. And so we already have personnel in Oregon and California preparing so that we're ready to take advantage of all the opportunities that are there. And we're ready to be appropriately licensed once the final regulations are promulgated and put out for enforcement.
Helix TCS, they trade on the OTC market under the ticker symbol HLIX. They are a premier provider in integrated operations environments for the legal cannabis industry. Let me ask you this, Zach. How has Helix progressed since the last time you were on my show?
So we've, hit every revenue milestone that we set. We've probably since the last time we were on the show, I think our revenues nearly doubled because I believe it was sort of last October. So we've had considerable revenue increases. We've added a couple key services like monitoring and retail transport. We've expanded into California and Oregon. We've put a lot of time and effort into expanding our wholesale market, Cannabis. So everything is, I gotta say, knock on wood, things have gone really, really well. I'm a little bit superstitious, so I don't like to jinx myself, but we've had meaningful progress on every single front, on every single business line since we were last on the show.
Banking, consulting, and banking in general for the marijuana business is an uphill battle. Give my listeners what you guys are doing. I understand you guys are picking up money now. So far you got armored trucks.
Correct.
How is that streamlining into your main business line, and what kind of revenues can we see from that part of your division?
So we do cash pickup and drop off. We focus less on the storage aspect of it than some of our competitors have, because I think that while banking is a key component, there are so many people now working on a solution for it, and I think there are 3 or 4 different ones that are soon to be ready to go to market, that I think that'll become a very highly competitive environment. So we do provide cash pickup and storage and things like that, but I don't think our investors will see a very large increase in terms of revenue on that business line for us. We're focused much more on other aspects of it in terms of to include data, monitoring services. We have some very exciting technology advances that we're about to roll out into the market. Those are the things we're focused on more, as opposed to the banking aspect of it.
Since the new legislation that got passed in California, what is your outlook for the California market for the next year?
So I think California will essentially, once the rules are finally put in place, will more than double our revenue. And so on any given 12-month basis. So let's say California comes into full effect with all the regulations around transport, distribution, and security, in the next 90 days. And I think in the 12 months after that 90 days, we'll at least double our revenue. So I'm very excited about California in particular. And some of our operating partners, like BioTrack, are already physically operating in California. And that gives us a tremendous leg up in terms of understanding what cities and state regulators are looking for, our knowledge, their knowledge of us, which is even more important, the fact that they know us because they know our partners, and we've worked with our partners to help get them operational there. I mean, it's a very exciting prospect for us, the passage of California.
You know, I'm glad you brought up Track THC. You guys are a shareholder of that company. Is that a privately held company?
Yeah, so Track THC is privately held, and we, along with with one of our financial partners, acquired an interest in the firm here about 30 days ago, just about 30 days ago now. And we had a press release to announce that. And so we still are on, equally good terms with both Track THC and MJ Freeway, because they're both our partners in our wholesale real-time market. So, there'll be more developments, obviously, and as they come, we'll announce as appropriate, as a reporting company is required to.
Can you give us any kind of a feel what kind of revenues they did generate in 2016?
I don't think I'm actually even allowed to say that, but it's significant revenue, meaning they're certainly in the seven-figure ballpark. But it's real revenue. I can say that straight away that they're larger than us in terms of total revenue, and they're growing quickly. Frankly, both firms are doing quite well.
My guest today is Zachary Venegas. He is the CEO of Helix TCS Inc. They trade on the OTC market under the ticker symbol HLIX. Talking about Rose Capital, I know they're your capital partner. Do you guys have any thoughts of M&A and acquisitions of anything in 2017?
Sure. We have, I have to be careful with what I say, but yes, we do have a full dance card, so to speak, on acquisitions that we'll be making. As we did in 2016, we made a couple key acquisitions then. We'll continue to make key acquisitions, both within the industry and outside of our direct line of business, until we build the platform out to where we want it to be.
Your company has, I don't know, and I'm last time I looked at it, anywhere from 6 to 7, maybe 8 divisions. Where's all the income coming from mainly? What exactly does Helix TCS do, and where does your main revenue come from?
So right now, our largest revenue stream does come from guarding services. We are a pure play in that it's guarding services for the cannabis industry only. We don't dabble in non-cannabis industries, just to sort of increase our revenue and sort of play optics. The guarding services is still the bulk of the revenue, although our monitoring services, which is to say 24/7 camera monitoring supported by a quick reaction team, I expect that to grow significantly in 2017. In addition, our retail delivery, meaning delivering cannabis-infused products or oils to kitchens or to wholesalers or to retailers, that's really taken off. So I expect that to be a significant part of the revenue by the end of 2017. Although right now it's less than 5%, I expect it by the end of the year to be probably around 20% of the total revenue. But we still are, the bulk of our revenue still comes from the guarding services, as do all of the firms in the industry. And then also in 2017, we expect to see significant revenue starting to pick up from a lot of the data applications that we've just been developing and warehousing as we make strategic alliances and acquisitions. And then when the time is appropriate, we'll roll those out.
Are we still in the first inning of a 9-inning ball game in the marijuana business?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And for us, particularly as a firm, that's very, very true. I would say, first inning of 9. And because there's geographic expansion, there's business line expansion, there's technological and platform expansion, all to take place. And we have a very specific roadmap that we've been following very closely from day one till today. And so that I think that analogy is very apropos.
I understand you guys have a new AG, Attorney General in Colorado, and is he going to roll back the progress in your market?
No, I don't think. I know there's a lot of speculation, and no one really knows because you can't know a person's mind. But even with the change in federal administration, the new presidency and the new nominee for the national AG sessions, I think it's very difficult to roll back, especially on the medical side. They could do it with a stroke of a pen, but I think that, we as an industry have to be prepared for some increased scrutiny. And even if things stay the way they are, but they just enforce more closely, I think that would make it, I won't say a tougher operating environment, but one certainly with less margin for error. So we're not overly concerned that the industry will get rolled back, but I do think that operating companies on all sides of the industry will have to tighten up their shock groups a bit.
Absolutely.
And make sure that they're operating within the letter of the law.
My guest today is Zachary Venegas. He is the CEO of Helix TCS Inc. They trade on the OTC markets under the ticker symbol HLIX. In closing here, Zach, is there anything you want to get out to my listeners that we didn't get a chance to talk about?
No, I think just in terms of if people are interested in the industry, I think it behooves everyone to do their fundamental sort of due diligence. One thing we do get a lot of questions about from the general public, people just call up. There's lots of companies out there saying a lot of different things, and I think that fundamental research and understanding what companies are doing and ensuring that companies that say that they are cannabis companies or focus on the cannabis industry really are doing that. I think there's a lot of companies out there that have, they're doing some things in the cannabis industry, but they're doing a lot of other things outside the cannabis industry, but they get that, but they sort of get that cachet, and it's not real. And that I see quite a bit. People often ask us, how much of your revenue do you derive from the cannabis industry? And we say, all of it. They're often shocked. So that's the only point that I think I would want our listeners to know, that we're focused on the cannabis industry. We're committed to its development, and we'll be here to help it develop, day in, day out, focus, only on this.
Very well said. My guest today is Zachary. He is the CEO of Helix TCS. They trade on the OTC markets under the ticker symbol HLIX. I wish you nothing but the best, and we're going to talk to you in a couple of months to see how things are going.
Great. Thank you for your time.
The following program is entirely sponsored and produced by Uptick Newswire LLC, which is responsible for the following content. The opinions and information provided on today's show are those of the guests and of those of the respective companies they represent, and does not necessarily reflect those of the staff or management of this station. Uptick Network encourages all listeners of the show to do their own due diligence and research when determining investment strategies that'll work for them, or to seek the assistance of an investment professional. The guests of today's show may have paid to appear on the show and are not directly affiliated with Uptick Network